Okay, so how tags will be created and also what is the structure of attributes, how to include the attributes and what is the purpose of attributes and tags. That's what we discussed in the yesterday session, right? So I hope everyone are clear with so far how we can create a tag. So everybody got the clear picture about how we can create a tag, right? So nobody have doubts. Okay. So now let's go back to the new tag types. Okay. So the tags, even though all are called as tags, so we'll be categorizing them into different tag categories. Why? Because it will be easy for you to understand and also to maintain. Okay. So among them, let's go with comments. Okay. Tags under this will get first one will be text tags, or else before that, let's go with void tags. So what is mean by this void tags? Yesterday we already mentioned that. So the tags which have only a starting, so which doesn't going to have any ending at all. Okay, so which can be directly accessible. For example, so if you see the output of this one, what is the output? If you see, this is how it was written, right? For example, so just imagine I have the same content here only, but I want them in a two different lines. So I don't want to use other tag. So in such cases, what we will do, if you want to break the flow, so BR is one of the tag which will help me to break it out. So for example, if I put a tag inside of it like BR, okay. So if you see here, what happened? Is it got break or not? So these type of tags are called as void tags, which will have only starting. If you see here, there is no ending here, and also there is no closing symbol also. Why? Because before HTML5 latest versions, okay, so we used to write this closing bracket also, but nowadays what happened? Most of the void tags are excluded with the closing symbol. You can directly write the tag name and no close forward close is required. That means this type of tag is not required anymore for the void tags. So in the same way, there is one more tag called as HR. For example, just imagine I want to create a horizontal row. That means a line. So if you see here, as I put a HR, so what happened? It created a line, horizontal line it created. Got it? So like this, there are many, void tags we have. Okay, you people try to check what are these void tags and how these can be useful. Clear? So next we'll go with the text tags. Okay. Or else we'll go with the head tags before. So under this head tags, what all we'll get? So it's basically to say the tags that we are getting under the head part. Okay. So on the head, generally what all we'll get, like title, meta tags, then what we'll get? Style is also one of the tag. Then link is one of the tag. Okay, script is one of the tag. So like this, we have multiple tags. Okay. So which will come under this. Even the doc type is also one of the tag only. Doc type is also one of the tag that comes under this. Which one? Head tags. Okay. So the tags which will come under the concept of the head part, which we'll use for the supportability of the document. Yesterday we already discussed that the head is what work as the background of your web application and body is what visible to the final user. Clear? So the background of whatever we add include in that head part, that whole tags will come under this head tags category. Okay, so these are the major tags that we'll generally use. Apart from this, there are many other hundreds of tags that you can use. Okay, you try to check the at least basic tags that will get under this head part. Clear? So next we'll jump to the text tags. Okay, so under this text tags, what is meant with this text tags basically? So the tags that is going to be handled for the text content. Okay, so images will be there in a web application. If you see, videos will be there, images will be there, symbols will be there, many things will be there. But most of the website is all about text only, right? So that whole text content can be handled by this, which one? Text tag. So if you check here, the first one will be heading tags. So H1 to H6. Okay. So what is mean by this heading tags? Yesterday we already see this thing, H1, how it is looking, H2, H3. Okay. So in the same way, we have until H6. Clear? So for example, so H4. H2, H3, H6. So we don't have any H7. Okay, don't go with that. H6 is the last time. As you can see, whichever the tag I was opening, I was closing with the same tag. Okay. So if you see here, I have the same content here everywhere. Okay. So let me remove this HR. Okay. Let me remove these two. No issues. Let it be the common content. So if you see, the content is common, but each content what we are doing, we are writing in a different tag. So H1 to H6. So if you go back here and if you see here, what happened? See H1 which gave given me the heading, bigger heading it was given. H2 what it was given, it was giving me a little bit smaller. So, but if you see the common thing here is the letters are bold. Previously, whatever the letters we write normally, if you see, for example, if I write any letters normally, so you can see those are not bold as these letters. So headings will always should attract the user. So that's why whatever the features it have. So different font sizes at the same time, different bold letters. Okay, bold type, all the headings are. So like this, we have H5 to H1 to H6. Already H6 is too small. So do you think H7 is needed anymore? No. Even if there is a H7, it will be not visible at all. So that's why we have only H1 to H6 tags. Clear? So these are called as the heading tags basically. So let me do one thing. Let me organize this clearly. So don't worry about what I was writing. Okay, you're going to learn in upcoming classes. So now, okay. Hello, Jason. One sec. ఓకే రక్షిత కదా తను యాడ్ చేసిన తర్వాత డిలీట్ అయిపోయింది ఆడే ఓకే సో హాయ్ రక్షిత ఏ హాయ్ సుదీప్ సో యు గైస్ ఆర్ ఏబుల్ టు హియర్ మై వాయిస్ రక్షిత యు దేర్ హలో రక్షిత ఐ కాంట్ హియర్ యూ సుదీప్ ఆర్ ఏబుల్ టు హియర్ మీ Please give me a minute. Let me check my voice settings. So let's see what we discuss text tags, right? No, let me make it fetch two. So under these heading tags are clear. So next we'll go with the some of the major tags that we'll use is heading tags and the paragraph tags. Okay. So why? Because if you see whatever the things will be there, whether it will be a link or it will be a content, right? So generally headings will be cleared under these heading tags. Next we need to talk about what we need to do under this paragraph content tags. So that is where p tag comes into the picture. So p tag is nothing but the paragraph. Okay. So if you see the output of this, see, so the look and feel is completely different in the paragraph compared to the headings. It is not bold and the font size also fixed. So how many paragraphs you may create, the font size will be same. Okay. So here one thing you need to remember is in HTML or whatever the features that we are getting by default. Okay. And the first time create చేసినప్పుడు font size maybe or else color maybe whatever maybe it may be different. But it doesn't mean that we can't replace it. Okay. For example, I have a font size of 10 px. If you imagine for a paragraph, I can make it even 100 px, which is more bigger than the heading. Okay. So it all depends on the, I already said, attributes. Okay. It depends on attributes and you can make the changes to the content. Clear? So now apart from paragraphs, some of the major tags that we'll get is between tags. That means, for example, I have already a heading. In between, I want to add some text. Okay. Or else I have a link. In between, I want to add some text. In between paragraphs, I want to make some highlight some text. In such cases, we'll use this tags called as span tag. Okay. So span is one of the tag, for example. So I want to highlight here span. Okay. So what I'll do, I got in between. So now, for example, what is the purpose of this? For example, if you think I want to make it, okay, let me go with B tag. It will be more appropriate for you. See, if you see the whole content is with one font bold, but only the HTML is more bold and remaining is normal letter. Okay. So these type of things like inserting some other content. Okay. If I want to highlight either content highlight channel or else if I want to make that to be more visible to the user, I need to attract the user. In such cases, we'll use this span tag and bold tags or some other tags, e tags are there. So these tags will help you to highlight those particular content. Clear? So that is how my this in between tags will work. In the same way, even span will work. Span is like whenever you don't want a bold. Okay, span is generally to divide only. So most of the time we use span. Even if you want to make it bold, then also what you can do, you can use bold tag within that. So for example, yeah. Okay. See, like this also I can make it multiple tags in a single tag. If you see now paragraph is the main tag. Before that I have other tag called div. Within the div I have a paragraph. Within the paragraph again I have span. Within the span again I have the bold tag. So here what it means is, so it doesn't mean that HTML not support the nesting features. So HTML of course it supports the nesting features. You can create how many nests you want. Okay. So until unless it is a proper tags. Okay. So here div is a type of tag which is like a bag. For example, so if you consider heading tags or like a text tags, these are like a containers. For example, so water can be stored in a which types? Closed lids only, like bottles and things. But what about the solid things? Boxes we needed. We can't carry the liquid in a boxes because it will leak out. But the only thing that can carry all of this is, for example, if I take a bag, I can put in all this bottle also I can keep in it, or else the box also I can keep in it. Solid item, liquid item, whatever the type you take, I can keep in that. So here it is just a bag is like a container which is holding different type of things. Okay. In HTML also we'll get two tags. Okay. So those are div one main tags will be like so div and section. So these are the two tags that you're going to learn. Okay, so what is meant by this div? Name itself, it was telling that div and section. So it was just divide and rule policy. Simply to say, as I already mentioned, for example, if your website have 10 sections, heading is there. Okay, below that image banner is there. Below that products cart is there. So like that, I have multiple sections. So if I don't divide each section into multiple parts, what happens? It will be tomorrow if I get an issue, I have to check from code line 1 to line 100, 10,000. So it's not that much easy to debug all the lines. So for example, but if I divide into each section, for example, I divide banner section into one part. So if I get any issue in the banner, I'll directly go to that banner section. Even though there are more lines, I can understand, okay, this is what issue in the banner. So I need to check in the banner only. So here it was just making the code more productive and making us help easily to work on it, to debug it. So like this, here div is one of the tag that we have from previous versions of HTML, but section is one of the tag that got introduced in the HTML5. Clear? So before continuing the text tags, I told you people to check what is advantages and disadvantages we got in HTML5. Is anybody checked? Anybody checked or not? Check చేసినారా లేదా? లేదు కదా. Okay, so as already mentioned, how many versions of HTML is there? 7 versions of HTML. So if you go with the advantages that we got compared to HTML4 to 5, so there are few advantages. Like the first one is the multimedia. Okay, so that means before HTML5, we don't have the compatibility of using the videos or audios into our web applications. So we can put only the images. Okay, so apart from images, we don't have the compatibility of using SVGs, PNGs, like videos, audios, and no compatibility is there. So, but now if you see in the website, you can include anything, images, you can include videos, you can upload audios, any type of multimedia. So, okay, you know what multimedia means? Multimedia, under the multimedia, we get many things, SVGs also, like animations, everything. So that all can be included into web applications now, just because we got it in the HTML version 5. So this is one of the advantage that we got in HTML5. So apart from this, the second major thing is the storage, local storage. Okay. So before, what used to happen before HTML5? So for example, just consider your mobile and just think about 5 or 10 years back, you are using that mobile. So what will be the storage of that mobile? So max it will be 12 GB. Storage I was talking. Storage only will be 12 GB or 32 GB. That is the max. If you have 32 GB, it is more than enough. And each app will be like 1 MB, 1.2 MB, that size. For example, RAM will be 2 GB. So what happens? Whenever I install more apps, automatically my phone becomes hang. So automatically what I need to delete the unwanted apps. So what's happening here? The complete storage is getting stored in my mobile there. Nowadays, what happened? 1 TB storages. Okay, 12 GB RAM. So what happens? Automatically here, what is the major purpose of increasing the storage? Now, if you take the Chrome, before 10 years, the Chrome size is like 2 MB. Now, what is the size of the Chrome? It will be 80 to 120 MB. But after once you install, if you check now to delete it, or if you check the storage that it is occupied, okay, if you are a continuous user of Chrome, it should have occupied almost half GB. That means 400 to 500 MB it will be there. Install time it will be only 80 MB. But how it became the 500 MB or 400 MB? Because that is what called as the local storage. Okay. So before HTML5, so whenever user is accessing any website, the whole cache, you know what is cache? So the loading of fonts, images, this will be loaded, right? So these all are supposed to be stored in the web application. So due to this, what happens? The web application is becoming very slow. Why? Because it will be allocated only 1 MB or 2 MB space. Okay. So it is not that much enough. For example, if you take a Flipkart, so if you open a Flipkart in a Chrome, how many images it need to load? Okay, lakhs of images, whatever you load, it need to load that images. So if you consider each image as 1 KB also, 1000 images, 1 MB, there only it is gone. So what happening? It's a big issue at that time. So when local storage concept came into the picture, what happened? instead of saving the content, whatever I was loading into the web application, I got the future of loading that into the local storage. So that's why nowadays, if you see any app, if you take not only with the Chrome, once you install the app, it will be 30 or 40 MB maybe. But after you install, as you use more, it will be more increase the storage. Why? Because see, whenever, for example, you open a website, Flipkart in the Chrome. So next time if you open, it will open more faster and quickly. Why? Because the resources that needed in that web page, like images, maybe links, which are already loaded in the previous time. So those are stored in the local storage. So that's what called as the cache, basically. Okay, that will be stored in the local cache, local storage. Apart from this, cache will be in a different way also. So cache is like, for example, once you load the website, not all the images or not all the links are needed for every time. So those will be converted into the temporary cache. Okay, temporary cache or permanent cache, those will be converted. But the required things like images or logos, these are mandatory. Whenever you open, you need that. So those will be converted into the local storage. So like this, what is this advantage? I can open the websites and it's not gonna reduce the performance of my web application. So automatically what happens, how many types you may use, how much MB you may download from web applications like Chrome or anything. So it is not storing in the web application, it is storing in our mobile. So due to this, what happens, the application will run very freely. Okay, so that's the one of the major advantage that we got in the HTML5. Okay, so apart from this, then we got with is the drag and drop and geolocation. So drag and drop is, for example, if you have seen in your college or sometimes, if you see any inputs, they'll give you an option like add resume. You can drag or add. So what is that? So basically, the drag and drop option gives you the facility of dragging an item into particular place. So same as selecting an item. Okay, so that advantage we got within the HTML5 in the web applications also. So now what we can do in our web page, we can even include a drag and drop on a particular section. Okay, so once the user comes there, whatever users drops there, it will be automatically selected by our application. So these type of feature also we got in the HTML5. So next thing is the geolocation. For example, if you take a OLX or any website, so as soon as you log in, it asks for your location. Okay, based on that, it shows you the ads near you, how it was happening. Because this is also one of the major and advanced concepts that we got in the HTML5, geolocation. So with the geolocation, with the help of geolocation, we can get the exact longitude and latitude of the person from where my web application is getting access. Okay, for example, I was accessing OLX from here. When I give a permission to it in the Chrome, with the concepts of geolocation, what it will do, it will fetch the exact details of my position. So that's why it is not recommended to give the location in every app. Why? Because of this geolocation, maybe the location is very simple for it, but it can track you from pin to morning to evening, where you are going. Okay, so it can even know what is your daily pattern also. Clear? So that is how geolocation will work. So this is also one of the concepts that we got in the HTML5. So next one is the semantic tags. Okay, so what is mean by the semantic tags is, for example, as we already discussed, meaningful names giving for the selectors. Okay, for example, for a file, if I put like task1, task2, okay, that it will be okay, I can read and work. But if I give a proper name, as I mentioned, okay, this is the tags concept file, tags.html, or else like what we have, links.html, or else introduction.html. When you give a proper name, what happens there, it gives the more advantage for the developer, at the same time for the user to read. So in the same way, what happened before HTML5, the tags are like common tags. Like for example, for a heading also, if I want to make them a group, I used to use div only. For sidebar also div only. For everywhere I was using the same tags. Okay, so due to this, there is no issue that I was getting. But what happened, it is not that much readable, helpful for the developer. But in HTML5, we got this semantic tags. So what is meant by semantic tags is, semantic tags is nothing but the tags with a meaningful name. So simple simple explanation, nothing more. So if someone asks what is meant by semantic tags, it is nothing. Semantic tags are nothing but the tags with a proper name. Okay. So for example, take an example of header. Okay. So generally you tell where header will be there in a web application. Always in the top of the page. Footer always at the last bottom, right? So here this we have that now in this semantic text what they did. So already header will be on the top. So instead of using the div tag, what I can do, I can use the header tag there. So header also give me the same output. But what is the difference? By seeing the tag, any developer can understand, okay, if it is a header tag, the content whichever inside will be header content. So if it is a footer tag, that means the content which is there in the inside of it, it will be the footer content. So for example, aside or sidebar, okay, section. So what happens? These all are helped us to make the tags into a meaningful way, use them. So that doesn't mean that it is giving any new feature. Okay. So the header may be footer may be, the semantic tags are not adding any new feature to you, but it was just helping the developer to write his code in a more productive way and a more readable way. For example, as we said, div, I put in the div and header code I'll put. Next div, banner I'll put. Next div, I'll put the sidebar. Next div, I'll put the something. So here all are divs only. I need to use the manual commands. Okay, this is the header code. But when I have a direct tags like within the header, if I put, I can easily understand, okay, if I was using the header means I have to write the header code in it. If I'm using the footer code, aside, sidebar code. So like this, the tags are giving a proper meaning to that, whatever the code you are writing. So that is why these are called as the semantic tags, the meaningful tags we call it as. So it is also one of the major advantage that we got in HTML5. So in interviews, most of the people will ask about this geolocation and this semantic tags only. Okay. So and also they'll ask what is the advantages compared to HTML4 to 5. Okay. So even HTML5 is become standard a long back in 2013 or 15. Still even 8 years, every day or every week, you'll get a new update and new features in HTML. So it is not a never-ending process. Every day it will get a new feature. So nowadays, the self-closing tags or void tags, we no need to write the closing. That is a new advantage. But as per W3C standards, so what is meant by W3C? So as a web developer, you need to know this keyword W3C. What is this W3C? W means World Wide Web. Clear? W, 3 times W. World Wide Web organization. Okay. So World Wide Web. So whatever the web applications you create, all should be under this W3C only. Okay. So what is this W3C work is? This work is to maintain the frameworks or language that introduced compatible with the all the platforms of whichever the user gonna access. So that's why whichever the application you develop, it should be under the standards of the W3C. Okay. So W3C follows a very strict rules. Maybe we can write code in however we want, but once you put your code into the W3C, it will give the whole errors. Okay, this is what the issue. Your closing is missing. You shouldn't close this tag inside of this. You should not use this tag inside of this, because the major work of W3 is just to check and cross check how the set the limits to the web applications and standardize that web applications. Clear? So always whatever the web application you do, it should always be under the guidance of this W3C. Clear? So these are some of the advantages that you got in the HTML. So there are more than these advantages that you got in HTML5. Okay, there are many tags got introduced and many got depreciated. That means removed. Okay, you people try to check what are the tags that are introduced and what are the tags removed. You don't need to worry about the remove tags, but at least you need to know about what are the tags that got introduced in HTML5 and what is the advanced features that you got in the HTML5. Clear? Yeah.
How can we see the conditions of W3C? What are the conditions?
See, for example, I written something like this. Okay. So is it a proper way to write code? Basic thing. Similar way. See, the W3 standards is nothing but it's not like a rules that we have. So it is like how a framework, for example, if you take a framework, there is a way how we need to write the structure. If we don't write, automatically the coding platforms will show error, right? So apart from even when sometimes the coding platforms fail to show the errors, in such case, most of the times what happens, if you want to check, you can directly upload that file into W3C. It will tell, okay, this tag is closing is required. So in such way, so W3 standards in the sense normal standards that have for any language or framework. So that can be followed by the W3C. Clear? So is anybody have any doubts? అర్థమైంది అందరికి? ఏమైనా డౌట్స్ ఉన్నాయి? ఆన్లైన్ పీపుల్, రక్షిత, రవి, సుదీప్, ఎనీబడి హ్యావ్ ఎనీ డౌట్స్? Guys, online people, you there? One sec, I was not able to hear you online people. So let me check my settings. So I hope everyone are clear with whatever we discussed so far, right? So shall we continue to next topic?
Yes.
Okay, so text tags. So in the text tags, so far we have seen like H1 to H6, or paragraph is one tag, like a span is one tag, like address is one tag, and quote is one tag. Okay, next bold is one tag, EM is one tag, I convert any text into italic, I tag. So like this, we have more than many tags that we have. Okay, so everyone try to, there is a PDF called as HTML5 cheat sheet, we call it as. Okay, so everyone try to check in the comments. You can get it directly. If you just search, you can get multiple PDFs. So try to take the latest one which is uploaded. You can see the date when it is uploaded, right, in a website, when the last update. So try to go with the latest website and take that PDF. Okay, there you can get the whole tags, not only text tags or any head tags. You can get the whole tags category will be available there. So if you know that one PDF, that is more than enough for you to remember the tags. Okay, you can use them for the lifetime. Okay, try to do that. Okay.
So they have a lot of like 122 tags.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So in that 120, I don't think that at least you'll use at least 40 to 50 tags in your whole life.
Yeah.
But it's better to know what each one will do. 120 is not a big number, right? So to remember, in that 120, each tag, almost tags will be common, like H1 to H1 already, same tag, 6 times, gone, 114. So like that, each similar tags also will be there. Okay. So try to download the cheat sheet and check what all the tags will be there. It will be helpful for you. So what you need to do, HTML. Okay, so don't forget to check this cheat sheet. So it is very required. Clear? So now also check what is meant by W3C. What it will do, what is the basic work of W3C. Clear? So next, once the text is gone, so I don't think you need to know all the text they need to explain. Because see, tag declaration is same. All tags will be declared in the same way, but only the futures, as I mentioned, H1 is bigger, H6 is smaller. In the same way, each tag will give you different futures. Clear? So before jumping into tags, other category of tags, I'll go with one of the concept called displays. Okay. So one of the major concept that you need to remember and you need to learn when dealing with the creation of web applications. Okay, display. So this is the one of the major like a property that you going to see. Okay, under this display, basically there will be three types of, first we'll go with two types. So one is the block and inline. Okay, so what is mean by this block and inlining? For example, you just imagine while you are going for any temple, okay, Tirumala or somewhere you are going, or a bus you are going. So how the people will be there? So there will be no particular order. Okay, bunch of people side by side, whichever the direction you will be staying. So for example, if you take in a traffic also, for example, I park my car in the middle. If there is a space on the side, what happens? Automatically next person come and park beside me. Next, if there is more space, again one more person comes and park it there. Again, if there is a space, one more person. So what happened? Until unless my space is cleared, I can park, the people will go on parking beside me. In the same way, whenever you create an element, okay, So if it is a display type of inline, so don't forget, don't get confusion between property name and property value. Try to remember. So display is we have property name. Okay. So however, color is a property. Here, property name, in the same way, display is the property name. So each and every element that you create in HTML, okay, whether it is a paragraph, whether it is a heading tag, image, or any tag you create in HTML, it will have one default display property. Okay, whether it will be inline or whether it will be block. So what is mean by this inline tags we will do is same as the traffic rule. So what the inline will tell is I need only this much space. Okay, once you create a tag, for example, let me create you here.
Stands.
Yeah, span. So I was creating. Okay, span. Okay, to know the difference, I'll go with I tag. Okay, so I have two tags. So now if you go to the browser, so these all are, if you see, came in one by one line only. So see, here also after the heading, I have the space or not. That much space is there. Automatically H2 and H3 can sit there. But if you see here also more space is there. But if you see, these both tags came in a single line. But I didn't written them in a single line, right? Two are different tags. But both came in a single line. Why? Because this is how inline work, traffic rule. So what the inline will tell that, for example, this is the first tag span. It will tell that, okay, this is the height and width required for me. So I don't want any other space. Whoever want that space, you can occupy it. So that's what it will tell. So, but coming to the block, what it will tell. So I am like a monarch. For example, you just imagine there is a VIP car, like PM car parked on the road. So you will get the chance to park beside it. So whatever the road is there, the whole road will be occupied by that particular vehicle. So no other vehicles will be allowed. In the same way here, so there is these tags, block level tags we call it as. Okay, when the tag default displays block, what this will do? This will act as a hierarchy, monarch. That means I want, even though I have one letter also, I want to occupy the whole line. I don't want anyone to come into my line, and it will not allow any others. So if you see here, so if you see, when I highlight this particular element, as you can see, the blue color is the what? That element, how much width it is there. Okay, that orange one is the margin, we call it as. Okay, we'll know it what is margin and padding later. So if you see here, that it is occupied the whole line. For example, if I just make this content as one letter, still if you see what happened, still it is occupied the full row. So it doesn't matter whether I have one word or one character or 100 characters. So what is this block level elements will do is it will occupy the whole row. It will not allow any other element to sit beside to it. Even it is the inline element also, it will tell that maybe you are a inline, but I am not an inline. Okay. It will tell that maybe you are also human, I am also human, but I am a PM and you are a common man. So I don't allow any common man to stand beside me. That's what block level will tell. So, but inline, it will be like whether you are PM or like common man, anyone you are maybe, you can come and sit beside me if there is a space. So that's how this inline and block level elements generally work. So if you see here, the heading tags and paragraph, whatever we've seen so far, these are the block level elements. Okay, so that's why they are occupying the whole row. That's why each and every element is creating a new line. But coming to this inline elements, like if you see this one, see what happened. If I highlight it, it was only taken how much space it is needed. It was not taken extra space. Even I tag also say. See, now for example, if I create a one more block level tag here. So what happened? Now tell me whether it will come side or down. How many will tell that it will come down, or how many will tell that it will come side only? Raise the hand who will tell down properly. Okay, how many will tell it will come side? So why it will not come side, sir? So you got the clear picture, okay? So paragraph is the block level. Maybe my before element is inline element, but I am not the inline element. So I am a block level element. So definitely I don't want any other space who given by someone. So I'll have my own space. So that's how my block level and inline will work. Okay. But there is an issue with both of these. Maybe these are both are advantages only. So block is also advantage and inline is also advantage. Why? Because sometimes if you want content to be side by side, I can use inline. Sometimes if I want the element to be block like headings, I want it to be a single line. So in such case, I can use the block. But there is a scenario, just imagine I want both the properties to be applied at the same time. Why? Because, for example, if you see here, this is what one of the block level element, right? So if you see what is the height, remember this. Height is 37px and width is 1144, right? Just remember this one, 37 into thing. So now let me try to increase the height of this element. Height of, what is the current height? Height 37. So make it 100. Okay. So what happened? Is it increased or not? So even though my element is, as I said, see, it is very small element there, but still it is taken my height. Okay. Let's in the same way, let me give width. Width of like make it 100px. Now see what happened. So it is taken width. Before it was taking the full width. Now it was taken only half width. But still, do you think it will the inline element come this side? No. Why? Because so I was telling it to take 100px only, but what it will tell, okay, you are ordering me to take 100px. But I am such a person that I'll not leave my space for someone. Okay. I'll block that space for me. That means this whole space will be considered as a margin. So remaining space, complete space will be occupied. So if you do the same thing with paragraph, where is this our paragraph, right? Okay, let me convert this into width of. See? So what it was doing? So still it was not allowing any inline element to come beside it. Why? Because the remaining space, whichever is there on the right side, this whole space it is still occupied and it is blocking it. But the elements, whatever we write, it was showing only in that space. Remaining space, it is occupied and blocking it. It was not giving to anyone. Clear? So here, if you see, I can give width or height, whatever I want to deal, I can deal with it. But the problem is, even when I give width also, it is not allowing me to sit any other element to be set to it. But I want it to be a block level. But at the same time, I want the width, but it's not working. But come to the second scenario where inline element. So let's give width or height to this inline element. So if you see, width is 130 and height is 18. So let me give width as 80, right? 80, right? 180, that is. Let me make it 300px, no issues. So width is 300 and height of 50px I given. So if you see, the properties are, if you see, is this applied to this element? Still see what is the width, even though I given width 300, what is the width and height? Still 18 and 130. So if you see here, when I write to the paragraph, the letters are bold, okay, and it was clearly visible. But when I write for the inline elements, if you see what happened, these are muted, simply to say not highlighted, and there is a I mark which is mentioning it's a error. So what it was telling, if you click on I, anybody have water? Just give me a second. So if you see what that I is highlighting, it was telling that the display inline property prevents height from having an effect. Or else if you go with the width also, so what it was telling, the display inline property prevents the width from having an effect. What it means is the block level elements, even though it will take width and height, still it occupies the full row, right? But inline elements is like, even the user is trying to push it, it was forcing it to take width and height, it will tell that no, I don't want to take. Okay, so I'm a common man, whether you force me or whatever I want, I'll allow the other, I'll not take other space. Whatever the space is required for me and whatever the height is required for me, I'll take that much only. So it was very particular, the inline elements will be so particular that it will not take the margin, it will not take the padding, it will not take, sorry, it will not take the margin, and also it will not take the height and width. Why? Because it is strictly sitting that I want only this much space and this much height, and I don't want to take extra space. It will be so particular. Same as block. Block will be like, I was so particular, I will occupy the whole row, whether you give width 100 or 200, I'll take from you, but I'll not allow any other element in that space. Still I occupy. So here if you see, block and inline both have issues. So in the block level, I was able to give the properties, but still it acts as same in its own way. Inline, it is not allowing at all. So then there is a third tag, third display tag came into the picture with combination of both of these properties. That means it will work as the inline. At the same time, it can work as a block also. That is what nothing but inline block. Okay. So the property of inline block. So one thing you need to remember here is, by default, any element you create in HTML, it will be whether block or inline only. It will be not by default, it will be not inline block. Okay. So it will be inline or block only. But you can convert any element into inline block. So how it basically work is, so if you see here, for example, this is the H1, right? So let's go to the, go back. Okay. So the same paragraph, right? Last paragraph, whatever we made this to block. Okay, this is the block width again 100 px, right? Let me make it 300 px. Okay, so now if you see here, paragraph by default display is block, right? So I'll override this by writing display as inline block. Okay, so now if you see what happened, so this paragraph is taken how much width? How much width I given? Okay, but span inline elements came beside it or not? Why? Because now it is working as a inline element, but basically inline element will not take width and height, right? Only block level element will take. So now you understood that the inline block elements will act both as a block and inline. Why? Because now if you see the inline block element, it accepts the height and width, how much you give. Exactly it will take. It will not take more. At the same time, it will work as an inline by allowing the other elements to sit beside to it. Okay. For example, it is the heading. Before the one is heading. So if it is also block by default. So if I make it as display as inline block. Now if you see, now what happened? Now H6 and paragraph and span inline elements. So these paragraph and H6 are inline block, but these are inline elements. But all of three are coming in the same line or not? At the same time, I can, for example, now if you say for this element H1, I'll give like width of 300 px. Now if you see, so it was taken 300 px width or not? So now the inline block, what it was doing, it was giving me the privilege of both block level elements and the inline element, so that I can give whatever the height I want, and I can tell how much width it should take, or how much height it should take, how much margin it should take. These whole things can be given. So if someone asks what is the major difference between inline and block, so the block level elements are like the elements which act as a hierarchy, and it will not allow any other elements to sit beside to it. But inline element is like, inline elements allows the other inline block elements to sit beside to it, but the inline elements will not allow you to override the height and width and margin, height and width properties of the element. So it will take only the how much space it is required. It will not take the more space or less space. It will take the exact space. Clear? So now are you clear what is meant by inline or inline block and block level elements? Okay, so from now on, whatever the tag you take, first try to check what kind of display it is. Okay, by clicking it in the inspect, and if you just click it, you will know the properties will open in the right side. I already told you the developers tool, how it will work out. So the people who came new today or in the yesterday session, try to go the recordings. Already the recordings are uploaded to YouTube. You will get that link now only, I guess. Okay, try to check that videos today, then come into these things and all. Why? Because you will understand how this developer tools and all work. I clearly explain. Okay, almost 1.5 hour class that is. Okay, you try to check those. Okay, so if you see by default when I click, I can also, this is the display block. So when I click on this H6, I can get okay. See that is it is striked off. Why? Because default feature is that only, but I was overridden it. Then నేను override చేశాను ఇక్కడ. So that's how my basic display properties work. So from now on, don't get confused why some elements are coming in taking full line or why some elements are coming side by side, because it's just due to the its default property. If it is a block level element, even if you write one character, it will take the whole line. Even if it is a inline element, so if it is a inline element, even if you write 100 characters or 1000 characters, it will take only that much space it is required. Clear? So whenever you want to handle with the height or width or any other features of that element, definitely you have to convert that element into inline block only. There is no other way. Clear? Is it clear?
Yes.
Any doubts? Anybody have any doubts so far regarding the void tags or heading text tags or display properties or any other things like how to create attributes and all? So online people like Sudeep Jena, Rakshita, Ravi, Satish, anybody have any doubts? No, I was not able to hear these people. Okay then. So that's it for today. Okay. So in tomorrow's session, we'll be going to discuss about remaining text tags. I'll try to cover off remaining tags. Okay. Tomorrow also tags topic only. So there are many. The HTML is all about tags only. Form tags is there. Next we have the image multimedia tags is there. Link tags is there. Listing tags is there. Okay. So like this we have many categories of tags. Okay. So we are going to discuss tags also tomorrow. Okay. Try to check different categories, and also first try to check the whole cheat sheet today. Okay. So that will clearly mention, as he mentioned, 120. Okay. Aspas up and down will be there. Not more than that tags. Okay. Try to check and download your own sheet and try to maintain it. Clear? So is anybody have any doubts? So today I guess you'll get your recording within few minutes. Okay. Even this session I'll upload now itself. You'll get in within afternoon. So try to just go through the recordings once from starting to ending, whoever came new. Okay. And try to understand. If anybody feel issue like I was not able to understand with the latest topic. Okay. So try to tell to me, or you can ask if you have any thinking of you don't want to tell to me. Okay. You can go and tell there. Okay. You don't need to even disclose your name. You can tell that, okay, I was from particular batch. So I was feeling little fast. Okay. So if you want to tell to me directly, you can, I'll ask every day. Okay. Because see, if you unless you don't say, I'll go with my flow, I'll go with my speed, and I'll go with that slow only. Okay. If you feel that we are going in depth, if you tell, okay, we are not able to go that depth, you just go with the basic and we can cover later. I'll go in that way. If I feel that, okay, these people are okay taking everything and they're able to understand, complete the task, I myself will go depth into the concepts. Clear? So if you feel fast, you just tell me, sir, we are feeling little fast, we can go slow. You just mention, as I was telling, unless you tell me, I can't. Clear? You should tell me. So that's what about today's session. Okay, you can leave. Thank you. Have a nice day, guys. Have a nice day, guys. Online people. So I'll try to be by sharp 8 o'clock here. Okay, don't make it 8:05 1 person, 8:10 1 person. Okay, I was coming from